Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you'll be listening to a hypnosis session that I did with a client that was having issues with spending. And I think one of the key issues with any kind of relationship with money is the relationship between earning money and spending money. And for a lot of people, the primary issue is that they don't feel like they're earning enough. And then they're not sure what to do about that. So second jobs or investing or whatever it might be. For other people, the issue is less about how much money they're making and more about what they're spending. And in this particular client's case, she had a well-paying job, lived in a nice part of the city where she was, but had an issue of what she labeled frittering it away. And it was that key phrase, frittering, which you'll hear in the hypnosis session, enabled us to make a distinction between spending on really good experiences that are worthwhile or things that are really of value and things that are short-term and gratification. And one of the interesting things of thinking about money is that it really links to this idea of delayed gratification. So effectively, if you choose to save money now or invest money now, what you're doing is really going without in the short term to have more in the future. It's kind of a manifestation of your future lifestyle. So that delayed gratification is really the essence of all saving and investment. The opposite is also true, particularly if you spend straight away. Well, then you're kind of living in the moment, which isn't a bad thing to some extent, because if you're always investing 100% of what you earn, you have no life at all. But the other extremity of investing everything is taking out loans and using credit cards to spend money on very short-term experiences that won't appreciate in value, so they're not assets, and they are going to be the kind of things that will, kind of disappear very quickly. So that might be a meal, or it might be a short-term experience or clothing and those kind of things. In her case, what was happening is that she had this real desire to set up a business and was taking on extra work to fund that business, and yet was spending the money that she made on a lot of these kind of short-term things. So what you're going to hear here is a way of thinking about money differently, so that frittering money away is then framed as stealing from your future self and creating two different futures. And I think one of the most effective ways to make a decision is to project out two different futures, a future where you don't change and a future where you do change, and take them out, to a certain length of time. That could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future. And that trajectory isn't very different in just a week or a month, but over a longer period of time is very noticeable how different that is. And what you tend to find is that that makes decisions about major life changes or priorities easier, because you're able to compare not the short-term, but the long-term consequences of that shift. I think this will be useful for anyone that tends to be a bit of a spender, finds it difficult to invest or difficult to hold on to money. And a lot of the time it comes directly from childhood experiences. Either the motive to spend money in particular areas, so if you didn't have a lot when you were a child and you were surrounded by other people that had more, then having that lifestyle is going to be linked to a feeling of worthiness at some level. But equally, I've worked with clients that, grew up in houses where if they saved money, a sibling or a parent is going to take that money. So there's a real desire to just spend the money quickly because it might not be there. All different reasons. If you're listening to this and you have issues with money, there will be a link nearby where you can book a free 30-minute consultation call with me, and I can explain how I would work with you individually. There's two kind of big passions in my life. One is the psychology of money. I've been an investor and a business owner, since I was a very young age. So I have a passion for that, but obviously I have a passion for hypnosis. So bringing those two things together is a real passion of mine, and I'm still working. I know some people have been asking about hypnotic wealth as a course that I've been creating. That's being built, and will, I think, be going live probably in the next month or so. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and on the outward breath, allow your eyelids to close. That's in. And as you breathe in, just imagine that you're breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that stress, tension, worries are just leaving your body in your outward breath. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just giving permission to yourself to let go of all of that tension and stress you've been holding on to, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. Now, I want you to notice that the muscles in your forehead, as you breathe in and breathe out, start to just release that tension. Muscles in the jaw, as you breathe in through your nostrils, just notice that it becomes more and more effortless. The breathing gets deeper. And as you breathe deeper, you're breathing more of that resourceful relaxation in, and enabling you to let go of more and more of that tension, stress and worries. I want you to get a sense that stress is just a relationship between resources and demands. And I want you to get a sense that resources aren't just your intelligence and your skills and your capabilities, but time is a resource. And money is a resource. And therefore, one of the easiest ways to increase the amount of stress in your life is to make poor decisions with your time and to make poor decisions with your money. Because if time and money are a resource, and you can fritter away that time and money, doesn't it make sense that you have less resources to cope with those demands? I want you to get a sense that a recipe for more stress and overwhelm in your life is to take on more demands, to say yes to more projects, to agree to more things, and to make awful decisions with your time and your money. And maybe as you think back, there's been times in your life where you've done that. And wasn't that the time where you were more stressed? But I want you to accept that something else is also true. That if a way of increasing stress is to reduce resources and increase demands, then doesn't it make sense that the opposite is also true? That the better choices you make with your time and your money, means the more resources that you have. And the less demands, particularly those demands that aren't important to you. Every time you say no to something that is of low importance means that you're reducing the demands that you need to give your attention to, and that will reduce the stress in your life. And what if, with the time that you save, you're able to allocate that to something that would reward your future self? To give a gift to a future self. Because if you could give a gift to your future self, and that gift was a high-paying job with status but lots of stress and lots of insecurity, or you could give a gift to your future self where you are the master of your own destiny. You have a business that you've built up that's having a positive impact on the world. And therefore, you have that creative control. You have that security of being the owner of your own business. What gift would you prefer to give your future self? And if you'd prefer to give yourself a stressful but high status job, let me know by nodding your head. But if you'd prefer to give your future self a business that enables you to have the lifestyle and freedom that you want, but more importantly, creative control and a positive impact on the world, let me know by nodding your head. And therefore, anything that gets in the way of giving your future self that gift means that you're stealing from your future self. You're stealing the resources to make it possible. You're stealing the motivation and the self-belief that you can even do it. I want you to imagine that you are in a place that you know well. I want you to imagine a luxurious restaurant with amazing views. And when you're in that place, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine that you have in savings several million. Just accept that to be true. And then imagine that you're given an unexpected bill or debt or fine for a large amount. I want you to get a sense that the financial resources that you have mean that even if this outcome is undesirable, this debt, this bill, this fine, it isn't a cause of the same level of stress as if you didn't have those financial resources, which then gives evidence. It gives evidence to your mind that money is a resource, just like oxygen is a resource. People don't worry about oxygen while it's there. But if you were in some kind of sealed submarine far under the surface of the water, how important is oxygen when oxygen is running out? How important is time if you have days to live? And how important is money when money isn't there? I want you to get a sense that you are discerning in many different areas of your life. Particularly when it comes to lifestyle, you're able to choose nice restaurants, choose good destinations. And I wonder, what if your ability to be discerning with your lifestyle gives you a unique ability to be discerning with how you spend your money? In many cases, people make lifestyle decisions based on how will it make them feel. And I want you to start thinking about money in the same way. I want you to ask yourself the question, will this give me a sense of real joy or just gratification? And therefore, isn't it possible that you're able to perceive gratification as counterfeit joy? I want you to get a sense that wouldn't it feel weird if you were wearing counterfeit jewelry and pretending it was real jewelry? Fake fashion when the real thing exists? I want you to get a sense that a real holiday is a real holiday, whereas watching a holiday destination on TV is not the same thing. If your unconscious mind is now willing to perceive temporary gratification as counterfeit joy, and therefore not the same, not real, how much of a difference would it make to your life if all that money you saved on counterfeit joy could be used to give you two more important things? A vehicle towards freedom, or genuine, joyful moments. If your unconscious mind is willing to accept that gratification and real happiness are not the same thing, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to get a sense that what is life if it isn't a series of consequences of decisions? I want you to get a sense that any financial stress that you've experienced recently, isn't that partly down to a cause and effect relationship with previous decisions that you've made with how you've spent money? And I want you to imagine that you've got a time machine and you go back 2 or 3 years. And I want you to imagine that you're now back in that body of you 2 or 3 years ago, but with this new belief system, that you're going to invest what you did spend on gratification into things that facilitate either freedom or true happiness. And if you're willing to go on this journey with me, let me know by nodding your head. Find yourself where you were perhaps 3 years ago, back in your body, with this new discerning way of thinking. Imagine you're living your life, but maybe that coffee that you would get, or maybe that restaurant, or maybe that takeaway, or maybe something else that you knew was very temporary in nature. What if you decided that anything that just represents gratification, you would, in a very discerning way, just choose to spend that money in a different area? Perhaps in taking your business life so that you could launch your business quicker, or those things that would give you genuine happiness. And what is more important, gratification or peace of mind? Gratification or feelings of security? Gratification or feeling proud of what you're building? You can speed up time in your imagination. Imagine going through those days, those weeks, time after time, choosing to make different decisions. And I wonder how much money you would save just by choosing not to fritter money away, and instead build a war chest to build a business. pay down expensive debts, giving you more peace of mind, which actually means you sleep better, feel better. And as you do that, I want you to get a sense that, aren't you more in control of your life? And by the way, that doesn't mean that you deprive yourself of joy, because if you define something, it could be an ice cream on a beach. It could be a cup of coffee with a friend. But if those things you deem to be important, meaningful moments, then that isn't frittering it away. Get the balance just right, where you save a lot of money by not wasting it on those fleeting moments, and instead assign it onto building something important and significant for you. Allow the days to turn into weeks, weeks to turn into months, and months to turn into years, and then bring yourself all the way up to the present and realize that had that have happened for the last 3 years, just evaluate how your current circumstances would be different. Would there be less stress in your life? Would you have more options and choices? And then I want you to think forward into the future. I want you to entertain 2 different futures. One future where you prioritize lifestyle, and the second where you prioritize freedom and impact on the world. I want you to imagine in that first future, anything that impedes on the quality of your life or perceived quality on your life is rejected, even if it slows down your ability to launch a business, even if it creates more stress. I want you to be flashy, have the nice apartment, go on those nice holidays, wear the nice dresses, and it feels good in the moment, but perhaps does it feel good when you think back to that moment? Imagine 5 years of living that way and realizing that in 5 years' time you're still in debt. You've made little progress on your business. I want you to get a sense that, did this help or hinder you living your best life and having the impact on the world that you wanted? And then entertain a different future. A future where you're willing to make short-term sacrifices for long-term freedom, for long-term sense of pride and satisfaction, for a long-term impact on the world. And most people successful in business think back to those times that they make those sacrifices. The entrepreneur that started out, not in the flashy office, but in their spare room or their garage. The millionaire or billionaire that remembers just getting by on the basics while they were building their empire. They don't feel like they missed out. They feel like they invested in themselves. They think back to those days of not having money as them at their most motivated, their most hungry for success. It didn't impede their success. It facilitated it. It amplified it. It made them at their most resourceful. I want you to entertain those 2 futures and just decide, who are you at your core? Who do you want to be? And when you think back at your life, at the end of your life, do you want to be someone that built something? Do you want to be someone that was in control of your own destiny? or someone that had to compromise on their values just to stay afloat, to firefight, to always be a few weeks away from losing it all. And when you make that decision of who you want to be, let me know by nodding your head. But more importantly, reconcile that not only are you comfortable with making sacrifices to create and build something important, but the sacrifices don't even feel like real sacrifices. They feel like delayed gratification. That whatever you're depriving yourself of right now is a gift to your future self with interest. That whatever you miss out on now, you will get back tenfold in the future, and have the freedom, and have all of the significance and pride that comes from building something important. And if you're willing to make that compromise, make that sacrifice, but perceive it to be an investment in your future self, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Now it's time to return to the present. But update these beliefs, these priorities, these new values. Make a decision that frittering away on short-term gratification isn't harmless. You're harming your future self, and I want you to realize that what you've done for your child is what you can be doing for you. Short-term sacrifices for an investment in your future. If it's good enough for your child, it's good enough for you. You deserve it. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that all parts of you are integrated, aligned, and on board with this new way of thinking. As I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.